Bob Varley had harassed me for a few years about wanting to do a show. Bob had done a cable access show when he lived in Massachusetts that was called World of Mickey, and it was everything you would expect a cable access show to be. And he wanted to do something like that with the Diz. At that time, we didn't have the resources, the technology, or the money to do a video production. So, it was kind of out of the question. And then, podcasting was becoming very popular, and Bob had come up. Bob wanted to do a podcast, and I said, there's a lot of people out there doing it. Until we can come up with a good idea, an original idea of our own, I don't want to do it.
I remember sitting in Pete's office over 10 years ago, just kind of brainstorming the idea behind what we're going to do, even the name, the logo. And so just the term Diz Unplugged was a way for people to take the site with them. We didn't have iPhones then, it was just iPods. So it was really trying to find a way where people can listen to us or get their Disney updates in their car or while they're working out and stuff like that. That's why it's called the Diz Unplugged. You take it out of your computer and you take it with you.
I thought about it, and I eventually said, okay, let me hire someone to do it.
I never wanted to be on mic, scared to death to be on mic. And so we tried to think of all these ways we can have a podcast without us.
And for those of you who've been listening and watching since the beginning, we did this version where someone else was reading the scripts and we were writing stuff and we were recording them separate and they were being plugged in. And it was just awful. It was just atrocious.
Just the audience didn't respond to it.
Pete says, well, we're going to stop doing that and we're going to start recording a show. And we're all going to be on the show and it's going to be in my house. And we're going to sit around a table and talk about Disney.
And we came up with the round table format. And the first episode was actually recorded in my dining room, around my dining room table. So there's an echo in the room. And there was also a lot of nervousness, too.
I also remember thinking, oh, this is going to be great. For the 5 people who are going to listen to us, who we already know, Pete's mom is going to listen to us.
I thought there was no one listening. I thought we were just doing this for nobody.
The first episode was one of the most nerve-wracking experiences of my life. I will never forget it.
Scared to death from that first show, and then remembering when we started getting emails coming in, and it was just unreal that people were actually listening to us.
And I remember we got an email from a man who was an overnight trucker in Scotland. And he told us that he listened to the show while he was delivering things overnight. And I thought that sounded very exotic, and I couldn't believe that there was someone in Scotland in the middle of the night listening to me talk about Disney.
And I listened back to that show, and I can hear how nervous we all are, but at the same time, I could really hear, because we all knew each other, we were all friends, and I can hear that comfort coming out of our voices, into talking to each other because we know each other and we're comfortable with each other, and kind of ignoring the microphone. And that's just kind of, I think that for me, when I listen back to that first episode, that's the spark. That's the spark that kind of started it, and we realized that, hey, we could do this. We didn't know how people were going to react to it, but we realized we could do this, and that it was comfortable for us because we were basically just having conversations with people we were good friends with already, and we were just letting other people listen in.
We were in California in November of 2006. We were actually out recording the Dreams Unlimited Travel Trivia Challenge, which I'm still a little bit embarrassed about to this day because I was not comfortable on camera like I am now. Maybe even not now, and we recorded a show at the Del Coronado Hotel. It was my very first. We did it in the hotel room with helicopters flying by, and Bob Varley was there. So that's always a really fun memory for me. But that'd be technically my first show. And then I started coming into the studio with the guys. I was the first woman on the Diz Unplugged.
I did not know when I started with the company that I was going to be on the show. It was kind of a surprise to me when Pete just said, oh yeah, by the way, you're going to be on the show. So it took me a couple of months, I think from July to October, to actually be at the table and have a speaking part. And it was scary as all hell. It was horrible because I was nervous. My voice was shaking. And I just remember being terrified every week that he was going to make me speak. But now I love it. After a couple of shows, you get used to it and you forget. And then we went to video, and it was a whole nother terrifying experience. But I love it now, and it's amazing.
I can remember walking in the room and going, oh my goodness, this is the podcast room. Like, oh, because, that was the audio days, but I can remember listening to the podcast from the very first one they ever did. And for me to be here, it was like, almost like a religious experience that I got to come to the podcast room.
At the end of the day, I needed fans. I needed people who had the same passion that I did. And it's a kindred spirit thing. You can spot when you love something and you're into it and you know it, you can easily spot somebody else who's into it, knows it, and loves it the same way you do.
Oh, I think everybody knows I live and breathe Disney.
Disney has always been in my life.
Disneyland is my magic place.
I've never been to Disney before.
I don't ever remember a time that it wasn't in my life. My first movie in the theater was a Disney movie, Love Bug.
It changed my life, and I don't mean to make that sound overly dramatic.
It's all about now helping others get here. I really want people to experience this place that I fell in love with.
When my daughter went to move back to Pennsylvania, I'm like, Chrissy, you're leaving Disney. And she goes, Mom, it's not all about Disney. But in my world, it is all about Disney, because if I'm not selling travel or talking about it on the podcast, you can always find me in a theme park. It's I think 13 years now, and it still hasn't gotten old. I don't know what I did before I found Disney.
My great-grandmother used to live in Florida, and we would come to visit her every year, and we'd save up all of our cans and plastic bottles and all that and count them out and go to the recycling place in my town. And my mom always said we had to have $50 saved up, and then we could go on a trip to Disney. And we'd drive down and come visit Nana, and then we would go to Disney for a day, or Universal for a day. And so it's kind of always been there for me.
Disney's just always been so important, from the movies to then coming down to Walt Disney World on vacation every other year for most of my childhood. It's always been there, and it's never going to go anywhere, and nor would I want it to. It's been such an important part of my life, and it's just, I would be truly unhappy without Disney.
My parents originally got married in Florida, and that's where their love started, and honestly, their love became my love.
When I moved to Florida to work for the Diz, and I got to go to the park anytime I wanted to, that's when it really kind of exploded for me and became a way of life.
You take a look, we may not all love the same things about Disney. There are different aspects of Disney that we all love, but it's all passion. It's all raw passion. And all people who wanted to do something with that passion and never ever thought that they would be able to do it for a living.
Pete took a chance on me when nobody was taking a chance on me and let me do what I love, which is make videos. He put a camera in my hand and a computer at my fingertips, and has just kind of let me be as creative as I can. And he pushes me to do that more and more every day. And the audience, the listeners, the viewers, all of you, your feedback and all that stuff has just made me, I don't know, reach further and do better and try and make some great stuff here. And I hope to keep doing that in the future.
Honestly, every step of the way, I never thought I'd be where I am now. And even now, I have to pinch myself sometimes.
The list of things that I have gotten to experience through this podcast, there's not enough time. Really and truly through the podcast, I've seen the world. I've been to London, Paris, all over Italy, sailed the Caribbean, Alaska, Hawaii, all over the United States, all through this show. Places I never thought or imagined I would ever get to go. And some of them I've gotten to do more than once. And the people that I've met, it's amazing when you open yourself up to being authentic on a show like this. It's very vulnerable and very scary. But the payoff for that is that this absolute amazing wave of wonderful people ends up coming into your life.
My experience with the podcast has given me the opportunity to make great friends. Most of my best friends at this point are people I've met through the show and through the Diz Unplugged and through Dreams Unlimited Travel.
The one thing I never expected from any of this was that I would get to go to as many places and meet the amount of people that I have.
Working for the Diz Unplugged has definitely brought me in touch with people that I would have never met otherwise. Lots of single people, lots of married people, lots of families. I enjoy meeting everyone. At first it was super uncomfortable because I never in my wildest dreams ever thought I would be on a show like this where, hundreds if not thousands of people know who you are and are interested in what you do. That's sort of uncomfortable to me. I never wanted to be a celebrity in Hollywood, much less like, a podcaster. So that was weird to get over, especially when I was pregnant and people want to touch my belly I'd never known, or to touch my baby, that's was a little bit strange, but slowly I overcame that, and now I consider a lot of you guys my friends, if not my family as well. So it's been a fun journey, and it's always been nice to be supported through all of the major life events that Corey and I have had. So thank you guys very much.
I think my most memorable moments are the ones that it reminded me again of the power of our podcast, that people from around the world see us. I have friends now in different countries. It's made my world smaller because it's made my world bigger and smaller at the same time, because when I hear that something's happening in another part of the world, I think of the friends that I've met through the Diz.
The fact that I'm able to share this stuff with so many people, not just the people who work for me, but the people who, take time out of their week to listen or watch, who let us come into their homes, their cars, their places of business. That blows me away.
Just the community that has grown with this. I remember the love that came when Bob passed away, and when Julie mentioned that Ferris had Down syndrome, and knowing that we had all these people, some that we've never met and some we've met several times now, just the love that came from something like a podcast. And it's really the community side of it. So memorable moments, it's through 10 years, it's the meets, it's the love that comes from the community. It's the podcast cruises. I can go on and on, but we got to get our show started.
None of these things would ever have been a part of my life if not for this show. And it just goes to show, you follow your heart. Follow your heart, even when it doesn't make any sense, even when you think you can't. It's amazing to find out how you're really not limited by anything other than your own imagination. And if you can imagine it, you can do it. Walt said that, and you know what? I've lived it.
It's pretty incredible to think that we've been doing this for 10 years. And like I said, we never know where stuff is going to go. It's always sort of this, an idea comes up and what's going to happen next. We never thought the show would last. I never personally thought the show would last 10 years. I never in a million years thought we would go to video. We were scared to go to video in the beginning. And now it's just become such a part of our lives. The idea that we're sort of taking it on the road now, there's vlogs and there's stuff that we're doing remotely, and people call in remotely and do stuff. So I don't know where we're going. I do know that wherever it is, I think it's going to be really cool, and that I think we're all sort of invested in it. We're willing to go along for the ride and see where the future brings us.
If you had told me 10 years ago that this was going to last 10 years, I guess I don't think that far ahead on things I'm doing now. I never expected to be here 10 years later. I never expected... It's not that I ever thought this was going to fail. It's this that I didn't have any expectation for it at all. So the fact that it continues to grow and continues to entertain makes me very happy. We've gotten some really great emails from people, that have gone through chemotherapy or have had surgery, and listening to the show makes them laugh. And I think to myself, gosh, that's the highest compliment I can imagine. If we're helping you through something that's tough or some tough spot in your life, I am so honored to be part of that. That is just an amazing feeling. And the fact that we do this every week and raise money for Give Kids the World, and we get to spend time with folks like you. It's just an amazing thing. So I'm always grateful. I'm always amazed that people come and see us. I never thought I would be in this position, that people would come to see me or us, but it's a really, really great thing. And thank you.
Just, before we go, I want to thank everybody that I've been a part of the podcast for 8.5 years now. It's truly been a blessing in my life. I look forward to the next however many years. I picture myself as an 80-some-year-old woman, if Pete will still have me, out there, because getting to meet all the people out there, you have no idea what it brings to me to be able to meet all you people. And I only hope we do more and better and more exciting things in the next 10 years. So see you at the 20th.
So much fun, so much drama, so much love. And I am looking forward to the next 8, the next 16, the next 20 years for doing this. And I just want to thank Pete so much for the opportunity. And I love you, Pete.
No telling where we're going to be in the future. We didn't have, like I said, we didn't have iPhones when we started doing this, so no telling. It might be like virtual reality. We might be walking around the park, and you might have little virtual podcast members walking with you. Let's hope not.
There's so many new things that we can do, so many new people to reach, and I just want to make sure that everything that we do in the future, we keep making it just as good as it's always been, if not better, and we keep making people happy, because at the end of the day, that's the best part of all of this.
I wake up every day and come to work, and I really do mean this. I've had amazing jobs in the past, but this is without a doubt the best thing I have ever done in my life. I absolutely love my job, and I know there's not many people out there that can say that. And I know we're celebrating 10 years, and I've only been here for a few of them, but I look forward to the next 10. Honestly, bring them on. And I'll be here for all of them, because I'm not going anywhere.
I really do want to thank everybody over the last 10 years who've listened and watched our show, who've come out and supported our events and sent gifts and cards and notes and emails of support. When Bob passed away, we always talk about that, the amazing outpouring of support that we got. You've changed my life in ways that I really just can't express. Nor can I express my gratitude to you for that, for letting me do this. Because you let me do this. If you're not listening, I've got nothing to do. I never forget that, and I don't let any of these guys forget it either. We're here for you, and we're here because of you. So you have given me this amazing life that I never thought I would live. So, from the bottom of my heart, thank you.